Hello, my loves. We're going to discuss Black women objectification and its sexual implications. We're going to take a look at the Buffalo shooting, how fertility stats ties in, along with artificial intelligence and its data application. You don't need a plug. You don't need a battery in your back from anyone. You're solar powered. Energy's up, my loves. The article I'm going to be reading from is a sidepost.org article. Studies suggest Black women are more sexually objectified than white women, by Eric W. Dolan, November 18th, 2018. In this article it says, new research provides evidence that Black women are sexually objectified by white people to a greater degree than are white women. The study was published in Psychology of Women Quarterly. The research sought to investigate the Jezebel stereotype, the belief that Black women are innately promiscuous and hypersexual. As a field, we are continuing to establish evidence about how we constitute attributions of humanness, said the study author Joel Anderson of the Australian Catholic University. For example, there are constantly improvements in the complexities of human-machine interaction. Consider how lifelike robots can be these days. However, it is equally important to understand why we sometimes deny these attributions to other groups of humans. And in particular, it is important to understand the mechanisms driving these processes and the risk factors that make certain social groups more vulnerable to being objectified or dehumanized. The researchers conducted an eye-tracking experiment with 38 white college students, which found that participants attended more often for a longer duration to the sexual body parts of Black women compared to white women. This was especially true when the women were wearing bikinis rather than normal clothing. In two more experiments, which included another 251 white participants, the researchers used a go, no-go association task to assess automatic associations between race and certain concepts. The associations with human attributes did not significantly differ between white and Black women, but Black women were more strongly associated with both animals and objects. All of the participants were from the United States. The Jezebel stereotype is still alive and kicking. Although blatant instances of dehumanization and objectification of Black people have attenuated over time, subtle and dehumanizing perceptions still exist, Anderson told Sidepost. We measure these intergroup processes using eye-tracking software and implicit measures, and we found considerable evidence that Black women are both objectified and dehumanized to a greater extent than white women. Specifically, relative to white women, Black women were more frequently targets of an objectifying gaze, i.e., participants fixated more often on their hips, waist, and chest, and were implicitly non-consciously associated with words about animals and machines relative to words about humanity, Anderson said. Like all research, the study includes some limitations. This is a first step in this important line of research. We use categorical target race groups, i.e., visually identifiable as black or white. This overlooks the complexities of the issue. For example, some black people are less stereotypically black in their visual appearance, and this might impact how they are perceived by others, Anderson explained. Identifying as biracial might be either a protective factor or a risk factor for objectifying and dehumanizing processes. In addition, it is important to understand if minority groups apply this process towards their own group. Little is known about the prevalence and impact of self-dehumanization for vulnerable social groups. The study, Revisiting the Jezebel Stereotype, the Impact of Target Race on Sexual Objectification, was authored by Joel R. Anderson, Elise Holland, Courtney Heldreth, and Scott P. Johnson. Few things to note about the original research from the article listed at the end of this article concerning the AI tracking device and its data software was produced by a Swedish company named Tobii. Tobii was founded in 2001, grown from a Swedish garage startup by three Swedish men, John Elvesjo, Martin Skoggo, and Henrik Eskilsson. More on that in just a minute. Pew Research Center, Explaining Why Minority Births Now Outnumber White Births, by Jeffrey S. Passell, Gretchen Livingston, and Devira Cohn. May 17th, 2012. The nation's racial and ethnic minority groups, especially Hispanics, are growing more rapidly than the non-Hispanic white population, fueled by both immigration and births. The trend has been taking place for decades, and one result is the Census Bureau's announcement today that non-Hispanic whites now account for a minority of births in the U.S. for the first time. The Bureau reported that minorities, defined as anyone who is not a single race non-Hispanic white, made up 50.4% of the nation's population younger than age 1 on July 1st, 2011. Members of minority groups account for 49.7% of children younger than age 5, the Bureau said, and for 36.6% of the total population. The findings are included in the Bureau's first set of national population estimates since the 2010 census, when 49.5% of babies under age 1 were minorities. Fertility. Among Hispanics, the total fertility rate is 2.4. For non-Hispanic whites and for non-Hispanic Asians, it is 1.8. Non-Hispanic blacks, 2.1, have higher fertility than whites, but lower fertility than Hispanics. Demographics of motherhood. Among Black and Hispanic mothers, births peak among women in their early 20s. For white and Asian mothers, births peak among women in their late 20s and early 30s. Fertility rates, also known as total fertility rates, is a prediction of how many children the average woman will have based on current age-specific birth rates.
Today, you can interact with devices in amazing new ways. Imagine an interface that instantly logs you in, that uses your sight to naturally point, scroll, select, and zoom in. Whether you're casually browsing emails, the web, or navigating complex layers in Photoshop. Reminders automatically pop up and then disappear when you've read them. A richer, more natural, and immersive experience, all at the glance of an eye. Eye tracking is natural, effortless, almost telepathic. Games suddenly come alive. Eye position and head tracking move you naturally in the game environment. Eye tracking by Toby. It's truly a game changer.
I've pulled several articles right off of Toby's website so I can show you how it all ties in and we can pull this together. I Just Read enables reading assessment and training for school children with Toby eye tracking. March 31st, 2021. Denmark-based software provider I Just Read was founded in 2016. Their reading tool is developed in close collaboration with practitioners, students, and universities to successfully bridge the gap between research and school classrooms. I Just Read is on a mission to revolutionize reading education for children with reading challenges with a data-driven, holistic approach throughout a student's reading development. To deliver this solution, I Just Read uses Toby Eye Tracker 5L, a USB PC peripheral designed to be mounted on any device or PC screen, which offers a variety of real-time eye tracking data streams. Using the Toby PC peripheral with I Just Read software enables schools to get a deep reading insight, to visualize and discuss the findings with students and other stakeholders and get a standardized assessment across all students, allowing continuous evaluation. In addition, iJustRead can automate a number of manual processes like measuring reading speed, monitoring progress, and documentation, which results in valuable time savings. Tobii partners with NVIDIA to enable enhanced VR image quality in VRSS2, April 14th, 2021. This week, NVIDIA announces the release of the latest version of variable rate supersampling VRSS, which now includes dynamic foveated rendering, powered by Tobii Spotlight technology. The new version, VRSS2, powers the NVIDIA driver with the latest eye tracking information at minimal latency, which is used to control the supersampled region of the rendered frame to enhance image quality based on where the user is looking. VRSS is a zero coding solution, which means that the developer do not need to add any code to implement VRSS. All the work is done through NVIDIA drivers, which makes it easy for users to experience VRSS in games and applications. HP's VR headset, HP Reverb G2 Omnicept Edition, will be the first HMD on the market that takes advantage of this integration, and it will leverage both Tobii eye tracking and NVIDIA VRSS2. I'm going to jump ahead on the timeline a little bit, then I'm going to go back. Tobii Aware strengthens privacy and security in the new Acer Veriton all-in-ones, May 18th, 2022. Tobii Aware software will be integrated into the new Acer Veriton 6000 and 4000 all-in-one and the Veriton Vario AIO PCs. The software, which is based on attention computing, uses smart sensor technology to help improve user security, privacy, and well-being. The new Acer Veriton AIO models with Tobii Aware show the great value the technology brings to users. In October 2021, it was also announced that Acer and Tobii signed an agreement to integrate the software into the Acer Veriton Z all-in-one. Tobii Aware enhances the privacy, security, and well-being of users. Some of the features include Privacy Screen, which automatically blurs the screen when the user looks or steps away. Continuous ID enabled is another key feature. It shows information only when the correct user looks at the screen. Tobii Aware software also provides insight into screen time, the user's position, and their distance from the screen to improve well-being and productivity. Tobii Horizon and Tobii Aware as key features in the new Lenovo Legion 7 series gaming laptops, May 10th, 2022. Tobii Horizon and Tobii Aware software will be in Lenovo's latest 7th generation flagship gaming laptops, the Lenovo Legion 7i and Lenovo Legion 7. Tobii Horizon brings a more immersive experience for gamers. Tobii Aware uses smart sensor technology to help improve users' security, privacy, and well-being. Tobii Horizon detects and tracks the natural head movements via the built-in camera, extending the player's instincts and senses in many of the world's most popular games. It allows the users to take control of the in-game camera by using head movements and experience a seamless expansion of their field of view. Tobii Horizon is supported by over 50 games, including many AAA game titles such as Far Cry, Assassin's Creed, and simulation game titles such as Microsoft Flight Simulator, Star Citizen, Euro Truck Simulator, Elite Dangerous, and more. Large field test of performance completed on Tobii Pro Spectrum, January 11th, 2021. Tobii Pro has conducted a large field metrics test on its flagship product, Tobii Pro Spectrum. Spectrum is Tobii Pro's most advanced eye tracking platform, designed for extensive studies into human behavior and the mechanics of the fastest eye movements. The system can capture data in high sampling frequency while still allowing for natural head movement. This opens up new possibilities in fields like psychology, developmental studies, neuroscience, reading, and language research and ophthalmology. The large field population analysis was conducted with more than 400 individuals, evenly distributed across Sweden and China. The overall objective was to verify Tobii Pro Spectrum's eye tracking performance, primarily accuracy and precision of the eye tracking signal on a large and diverse test population in a less restricted test environment, i.e., reflecting the normal use of the product in research studies. The results show that Tobii Pro Spectrum has excellent performance in setups similar to normal use, and also regardless of eye color and eye shape. Tobii Pro releases emotion analysis capability for commercial research, October 2nd, 2020. Tobii Pro has released a new emotion analysis capability for their self-service online platform Sticky by Tobii Pro, which combines online survey questions with webcam eye tracking, making advanced quantitative research simple. The emotion analysis can automatically code and detect expressions of opt-in participants from images, web pages, and videos, and returns the probability of universal emotions such as anger, fear, joy, and surprise. By combining webcam eye tracking with emotional analysis, the research results not only show what and where the participants look, but also what emotions they express at the same time. This way, brands get accurate knowledge if the elements in their media perform as intended and what might need changing. Tobii partners with 3D Aim Trainer to boost FPS game performance. November 12th, 2020. Tobii's new partnership with 3D Aim Trainer brings critical insights gained from Tobii eye tracking analytics to 3D Aim Trainer users to improve aim training and game performance in first-person shooter FPS games. With over 600,000 monthly unique users, 3D Aim Trainer is the world's first leading multi-platform aim trainer for FPS games such as Valorant, Call of Duty, Rainbow Six Siege, Overwatch, CS:GO, and Fortnite. For Tobii, the partnership represents another important step of its esports training initiative, tapping into a new set of big FPS games and providing new types of analytics and metrics to benefit passionate gamers. Through the new partnership, any 3D Aim Trainer user with a Tobii eye tracker will get access to game-critical eye tracking analytics on 5 parameters to help improve their game performance. The users gain intel on eye reaction time, eye accuracy, eye speed, awareness, and heat map to indicate where and how fast the players move their eyes across the screen in the game. By comparing performance to peers and pros, gamers can quickly identify improvement areas to adjust and level up their game. We love giving insights to our users that show how they can become better players, said Michael Mathis, CEO of 3D Aim Trainer. So I want to get right down to it. In the first article we read, college student participants used an eye tracking device attached to a computer, which was developed by a Swedish technology company named Tobii. Researchers took notes on how long they stared at two sets of pictures of white women and black women. Of the pictures that they had seen, some of the women were fully clothed and some of the women had on bikinis. All of the college student participants were white. Of the pictures that they looked at, researchers found that they were more likely to objectify black women over white women. They were also more likely to compare them to objects or animals. Before we focus in on just Tobii's technology, let's also take a look at the second article from Pew Research Center. In this article, we discussed the low birth rates of white Americans compared to the birth rates of non-white Americans. Now, this is significant and important because the Buffalo shooter had named this as one of his defining factors for why he went on a terrorist attack. They clearly, distinctly identify Hispanics as a non-white group and clearly identify whites as its own separate race. Now, I put those two articles together for a reason. The Buffalo shooter had a Hispanic friend of which he would play video games with. Now, according to the Buffalo shooter, low white birth rates was a major problem. But if Hispanics are not classified as white and their birth rates are much higher, he didn't seize upon any opportunity to attack anyone that appeared to be Hispanic. His targets were black. Is it possible that with this new eye tracking technology embedded in computing devices, that it can be used to improve your aim and enhance your kill shot in first-person shooter games? Or if you play other type of games in which you have a target, an enemy of sorts, is it possible that this technology can aid you in hunting down and targeting people, especially if we look at the fact that there is software layers upon software layers? By no means am I suggesting that video games make you more violent, make you seek out violent actions, or causes any type of mental health change in you. Maybe you don't play violent video games, which is one of the claims that was made by the friend of the Buffalo shooter. But I want you to focus in on a few of the other articles I read as well. For instance, the eye tracking device being used in reading skill software. Now, it was intended to help improve reading skills by tracking the eye movements of a student or some young person who was learning to read as their eyes move across the screen, across the words. Now, add with that the other article I read about emotion being added to the eye tracking technology software. Think about it. Maybe you don't play video games, but maybe you do read online books. Maybe you do have a reading starter course for kids. If you're adding emotions, it has to come from a data set. That data set was somewhat discussed in another article in which the technology company Tobii had used Swedish and Chinese participants to improve the tracking technology. However, if they're going to use emotion in some of their product wear, or it's going to be attached to, say, a first-person shooter game, or their reading skills software, think about this. Where are they pulling the data set from? So far, all we've seen is that white participants were using this eye tracking technology either through some research study, or it's being embedded in computers and it's being used by video game companies as well as other interested parties. Now, if we don't know who they are going to use as participants, although we have a good idea, and we don't know how they're going to derive the emotion based on the eye tracking software that they're using. So as the technology follows you as you look at a screen and you focus in, let's just say on a person. Let's just say it's a black male, a black woman, a black child. And it elicits some type of emotion out of you. If that emotion gets logged into the system's data set as an anger emotion from what you see, would it be wrong to sit here and think, this technology could be used in a way to tell people how to emote, to tell people how to feel? Feeling replaced can elicit an anger emotion. So say you're not playing a violent video game and you're reading something. Perhaps you're reading something about low birth rates. And as your eyes scan across the words, you become angry. And the system pulls back some data set that says you're angry over low birth rates. What happens next when the system tells you, what are you going to do about it? Is the eye tracking technology software going to be able to push back a data set for correcting or changing or redirecting your emotion? Think about that as well. Let us not forget that the eye tracking technology has already done extensive R&D and improved upon a process in which it allows the technology to foveate. Now, to explain what that means, it simply is when your eyes are scanning across the screen and you focus in on a particular thing on the screen, an object, a target. That target, that thing that you're looking at on the screen, whatever area you're focusing on, it becomes very well defined. It becomes clearer. It becomes very detailed. The image is sharper. Now, combine that with the article about the eye tracking technology being used to objectify Black women. Who's your target? If you consider such persons, like a Black woman, a Black man, a Black child, to be an animal or an object, you then put them in a category where they lose humanity. You then start applying these emotions, whether they're your emotions or not. They have been pulled up out of a database that's embedded in this software. When you start looking at people as animals, in our society, we all know that animals are treated as if their population warrants control. You call animals when they are seen as inferior or they outgrow their environment. If you see an animal that you think shouldn't be there because somehow they are causing some type of damage to the environment, they are causing some type of damage to the larger group, make no mistake about it. To call is to target specifically, to remove. Toby's technology that was used in the research data to prove that white people sexually objectify black women is the same technology that I read to you in the latter articles about tracking your eye movements across a screen as you focus in on an object or person. That same technology foveates for you, makes it more well-defined, clear, detailed, makes it sharper. That object, that person, now becomes your target. That same technology reaches in and pulls up a data set of emotions. Those emotions were placed into that database that it reaches into from some participants of a research study who says, when you look at this object, this is how you should feel. It's not based on your actual emotion or how you actually feel at the time. It's telling you that something that you see on that screen is detrimental to you because it has a higher birth rate than you, and you should be angry about that, and you should do something about that. And hey, take out your anger and frustration over here with this video game. You're not harming anyone. It's helping you to become a better target. Remember that article where it helps improve your aim? Yeah, that's where we are. And so I say that to tell you this. Be careful. Do your research. Be diligent. Dig in. Because there could be something in the background software running on your phones, on your computers, laptops, tablets, gaming devices right now that could be doing you in. You don't need a plug. You don't need a battery in your back. You're solar powered. Power up and act, my loves.